Digimon Ghost Game is finally over. It's done. The season finale has just been released as of recording this, just came out a few days ago. The reaction is as bad, if not arguably worse than I was expecting. I knew it didn't have its fans as far as its way of creating its plot, or what some might argue lack thereof. I was originally going to do a completely different video. I thought that a certain Digimon was going to show up in the ending, and it didn't. I kind of changed the plans for that video. It's still going to happen, it's just going to be different now. What I really wanted to do was talk about Digimon Ghost Game. Kind of like what they say. Sometimes it's not the destination, it's the journey. But in my opinion, sometimes it's not the journey, it is the destination. Digimon Ghost Game's biggest flaw was obviously its approach at story, serialization, balancing that with its kind of Monster of the Week episodic format. Let's start with the journey. So the journey, in my opinion, was really good. I really did like Ghost Game a lot. I know because I am a fan of Digimon, I've been a fan of Digimon for a very long time. I've always liked things that a lot of people didn't like. With Ghost Game, it's easy to just oh, well, you're a Digimon fan, of course you like Ghost Game. But let me be completely honest with you. I dropped 2020. I did not finish Adventure 2020. Mind you, I finished Try, which before Ghost Game was considered one of the worst seasons or anime, and I found things to enjoy with Try. I still overall enjoyed the experience with Try, but even with that, I could not finish Digimon 2020. I just felt like it was meandering a bit. The animation quality dropped, where I left off at least. It was right before they crucified Gabumon. With that being said, with Ghost Game, even though, yes, it didn't really have a focused plot, so to speak, I still really enjoyed watching it every week. 68 episodes of this show, completely all the way through, with very minimal breaks. I did not feel bored with the series at all through that entire section. So that alone, I think, is a merit in and of itself. It kept me entertained and interested throughout its entire run. And I believe this is the longest running Digimon show so far. I have to give it that the journey in and of itself was fun. And it's just like what I mentioned in my video about Ghost Game before. Check that video out if you haven't. I'm really proud of that one. When it comes to Ghost Game, it was just fun to see how they were going to make an homage to the horror genre and also make that relate to Digimon, and use the Digimon themselves as a way to show off this kind of horror aspect. I like that. That was really interesting. And I really, really loved the characters. That alone really kept me watching, and it really kept me wanting to tune in next week just to see what was going to happen next. It kind of felt like watching Are You Afraid of the Dark or Twilight Zone, but with Digimon. Instead of being an anthology, it was just with the same core cast. And I really like that. With every journey, there must come a destination. And so let's talk about the destination. Gabumon comes back through the power of friendship, not too surprising there. He takes his body back from Gulus, and this was the thing that was weird. I thought Gulus trying to suck up Siriusmon would create Arcturusmon or possibly Proximamon. Proximamon and Arcturusmon actually don't show up in the show at all, which is kind of surprising. I don't knock points for this, however. I really don't, because they didn't really promise that was going to happen. We just thought it was going to happen because he's in the dim card. The fight was awesome. The fight was really sick. And I never noticed Gabumon has a band on his arm to represent the battle brace. But it was really cool to see. It was a really cool fight scene, but it did feel like they were literally playing it at 2x speed. It felt like they were almost kind of rushing this they were literally rushing to the finish line. Gabumon wins, of course. He devours Gulus Gabumon. I thought that was a pretty cool way to get rid of him, is that they kind of forcibly brings him inside of him and then like keeps him there. They finally confront who has been sending Digimon into the digital world, and it is a new Digimon, which was really cool. It was really cool to see a new Digimon. I cannot remember her name anymore. We find out that they're the one that's been sending Digimon into the digital world. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I really don't mind this part of the ending. I didn't. I actually felt pretty like, I was like, okay, they at least answer most of the questions. And that is, who has been sending the Digimon? It's been this Digimon that's been sending them from the digital world back because Gulus's like virus was spreading throughout the digital world. So anyone that wasn't infected, she was sending to the human world. Another reason why she was sending them to the human world was to study their emotions. I thought that was a really interesting plot point because it really makes a lot of the episodes, especially the ones that felt more fillery to a lot of people, it makes them make a lot more sense now. Because if you see them through the lens of that, where it's like each episode is a Digimon trying to learn a certain emotion or is experiencing a certain emotion, it really does tie the whole series together. And I know that sounds like pure copium, but like genuinely, like it makes a lot of sense. Somebody mentioned, how are they going to explain all these episodes where like it seems like the Digimon was going to come back and they didn't, like the Maycrackmon episode. The reason why the Maycrackmon episode is important now, and it's not just like filler or anything like that, is because Maycrackmon experiences a few emotions. She becomes very possessive, and she experiences jealousy and anger, and like a lot of her feelings are like the main kind of crux of that entire episode. I actually don't mind that. So this Digimon partnered with Hiro's dad, who's not evil. I thought Hiro's dad was going to be evil. That's not the case. They partnered together to study the link between Digimon and humans using the Vital Brace / Digivice as a way to link the partner Digimon with, I guess, the Digidestined? They're not really called that in this season. The main kids and their Digimon, that's the way they link. And also just like a way to kind of study how like other humans can also link with Digimon with emotions. I thought this was a really interesting way to frame the entire season. It does change my perspective on the whole season a little bit, and it was already positive for me. It just like kind of deepened it again, in my opinion. Another thing they talk about is the fact that Gamamon is from space. Now I know a lot of people are pissed off at this. I think it's mostly because it's just like told so late, and there's like not really much you can do with that information. It's like, oh yeah, he's from space, and it's like, okay. They don't really unpack that, but if you think about it, it's been waving in our face the entire time. Gamamon and all of his evolutions are all named after like galaxies and stars and space and stuff like that. It's kind of always been there in a way. They just threw it in there last minute just to like confirm it, I guess. And they also confirmed the fact that like Gulus is just a part of Gamamon. Like I always thought there were two separate entities that like fused at one point, but no, it seems like Gulus has always been a part of Gamamon. Gamamon had a really bad attitude problem. Now I don't know what changed, because Gamamon was like, he seemed like he was a real fucking problem. Hiro's dad had him. He seemed like a little shit that was almost uncontrollable. When he got sent over, he like, I don't know, got brain damage or something, like because he doesn't remember anything about Gulus. He's a lot more chill, and he's like, I'm your little brother, I'm so cute. But like right before he got sent over, he was being a little shit trying to bite at Hiro's dad. So I don't really know what's up with that. We find that like Gulus Gamamon has been trying to gather this army to fight some kind of big threat that's going to happen 2,000 years from now. Which the humans were like, okay, whatever. But Digimon, because their perception of time is different, they're like, holy shit, that's like soon. We need to figure something out. Instead of closing off the digital world, Hiro decides to become the bridge, which was hinted at before, to the Digimon. And the ending, people mentioned it, it's very similar to Tamers. It's also very similar to the O2 epilogue. So we just kind of speed run those two endings in a way where like humans and Digimon now coexist to eventually stop this meteor that's going to smack into the planet in 2,000 years or something like that. And then that's kind of it. That's the end of the show. That's the end of Digimon Ghost Game. Overall, while I can agree with every single grievance with the finale, except for like the whole Proximon Arcturusmon thing. We have breaking news. I don't know when this is going to show up in the video. However, we do have actually a reason why they didn't show off Proximon and Arcturusmon. And that is thanks to this thread right here by Digital Convergence. Really, to like summarize it, because I definitely recommend you checking out this thread yourself. New information about the development came out from people who actually actively were working on the series. So Bandai and Plex and Toei were working separately during the animation's development. On Bandai's side, They started working on the Vital Bracelet B and then made the Digivice Double V. The DIM card had more slots than the previous one. They wanted to fill out some more lines, so they added these extra Digimon that we just did not see in the anime at all. And that includes Arcturusmon, and that includes Proximamon. These were added by Bandai without telling Toei at all. And then later on, the writers were made aware of this, and the show was already pretty much done by that point. They were already done kind of writing it, and so they didn't have enough time to squeeze that in, which makes sense. It also explains why the Digivice Double V just kind of shows up. Like, the Vital Braces just kind of evolve into it, and then they added the Warp Evolution, and they said they did that as essentially an audible. It's kind of crazy to me that Bandai did not tell the anime studio that, hey, we're making an upgraded device that's tied to your anime, until like almost last minute. And at that point, they really couldn't do much to make this a more important plot point. So that makes a lot of sense. So hopefully, like I said, something like this never happens again. Like, this looks really messy on Bandai's part. Usually with anime like this, where it's happening at the same time as like the card game and the toys and everything is pretty put together. Everything works. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like this personally with any of the previous seasons. We at least have an answer, like a definitive answer, as far as why those characters didn't show up in the anime, because they weren't ever supposed to show up in the anime. Yeah, that's like my main problem with the finale. But overall, believe it or not, given all that shit I just said, I did still really like it. I did still genuinely enjoy Ghost Game. I think people are genuinely overreacting. I gotta be honest. Like, you can dislike the season. You can dislike the lack of a story, the rushed ending, the loose plot threads. Genuinely flaws with the series. However, to call this the worst season of the anime, I think it's going way too hard. That's being way too harsh. Give this anime, I'm going to say like 5 to 10 years, people are going to be talking about, man, do you guys remember Ghost Game? Ghost Game is so underrated. I think this is one of the most underrated seasons. People are going to be talking about Ghost Game like that in another like 5 to 10 years. I am certain of it, because that just is what happens when something's new that comes out that's like disappointing. In a long-running franchise like this, that just happens. It happened with Pokemon. Gen 5, people hated. People loved it later. Gen 6, people hated. I'm seeing people talk about how much they love X and Y now, which is really weird. Sun and Moon hasn't happened with Sun and Moon yet, but it'll happen. People hate it now. People will like it later, or come around, or just be lighter on it. It's easy to just kind of like be real hot after something like this, where like it was disappointing on some levels, but overall, like I said, I feel like it's a pretty strong ending. We have gotten worse, like O2. I don't like O2's ending. And even that, like back in the day, people hated O2's ending. O2 is the worst season ever, and people don't even think about O2 like that. We're getting a movie about the character soon. That's how much people like O2 nowadays. So, just to put some perspective out there, I can't blame anyone for not liking it. Even back when I made that video on Ghost Game, I cannot blame anyone for not liking Digimon Ghost Game, because there are legitimate reasons to not like it. As for me, like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I do hope we get another anime in the next year, and now we just wait for Digimon Seekers. Let me know what you guys thought of the Ghost Game finale, the anime as a whole. Did you finish it, or are you just not even going to bother anymore after seeing some of the reactions? Let me know down below. I am genuinely curious. I know we've already been talking about this. I want to hear some more of your thoughts, because I think this is probably one of the most divisive seasons that I've seen personally since like Frontier. I feel like this is Frontier levels of divisive. Honestly, I'd say this is more divisive than Frontier, surprisingly. So, I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Take it easy, and as always, peace.